Ashley Martin. Ashley is a University of St. Thomas alumni, so we're very excited to have her. And not only a very successful entrepreneur, but a local Houston. Well, actually, she works here in Houston and does a lot in the region. But she supports and does so much for the community, and does that through her leadership and guidance. And that's one of the things where she's here today. Ashley Martin, who is the principal consultant of Leadership Lady, a training and development company focused on helping people and organizations develop these leadership skills, these soft skills that we all hear about. She's the person that teaches the companies how to do it. And these skills not only are beneficial to them, but they help improve their efficiency, help them, become closer, become more productive, and help in their overall leadership of the company. Her company, Leadership Lady, is a collaborative with individuals and teams to help her customers save money, reduce turnover, and most importantly, reach their goals together. And without any more ado, Ashley Martin, take it away.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me, Patrick. Thank you, Robbie. It's a pleasure to meet all of the new faces as well, and anyone who may be listening or going to watch this later on. Thank you for just having me here. I'm humbled to be here and excited to share with you all a little bit about what I do and what I train people on and coach people on. And so I am a teacher by nature. That was my first profession before I started my own business. So this will be very interactive. We do have an activity. So your participation is highly requested and encouraged. So without further ado, let's get into what we're going to be talking about tonight. Navigating a new normal, soft skills for a post COVID world. It is no surprise that COVID is here. It is no surprise that our worlds have seemed to be flipped upside down, or for some people, right side up. But at the end of the day, things have changed and things have shifted for us. And we are all trying to figure out how do we navigate this space that we're in. So hopefully some of the skills that are shared with you tonight, some of the tips and the tools will help make that navigation for you a little bit easier. Patrick, you did a wonderful job introducing me. I would love to know who I am amongst. And so if you are a student, could you please in the chat let me know what year you are, if you're a first year or a senior or a graduate student. If you're a leader, please let me know if you're a leader in the chat or a manager. And if you are a current and or aspiring business owner, I would love to know that as well. You can just put that in the chat. Awesome. Finish strong, Omar. Finish strong. So I'd love to know, just get a good gauge as to who is in the space, who's in the room. All of these things that are going to be shared tonight are going to help you, whether you are a student, a current business owner, or aspiring business owner. I want to bring our attention to the current state and kind of the history, so to speak, of COVID. Back in January, there was declaration from WHO that there was this state of emergency, right? So this was in the beginning of COVID. For us, life may have been pretty normal. We went to school, went to work. For some, you went to your places of worship. We were able to eat out, we were able to hang out with family and friends. And then around March 13th, 2020, things changed. I can remember that day photographically. And I don't know if you can remember that day. It was a Saturday. And the president declared a national emergency. And it was the beginning of things starting to really shut down in the beginning of lockdown. Fast forward 8 months later, we're now in November 11th. It's Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all you veterans. Thank you for your service. And we are still in the midst of this global pandemic. More than 60,000 people have been impacted, millions, but more than 60,000 hospitalized. And so I bring this to your attention for several reasons. One, this is not your everyday cold, flu, or virus, right? There's hasn't been anything like this since the Spanish flu. Secondly, we are not only in the midst of COVID, there's a lot of change that's happening socially, a lot of social justice, a lot of change that's happening corporately, personally, privately. And we are in the midst of a very contentious election. All right. So all of these factors are coming together. And so, two huge questions that we're all searching for is what are we going to do? And thank you, Patrick, to bringing that to my attention. And then how are we going to navigate this moment and get to the other side? So, what are we going to do? And then how are we going to navigate this entire moment, this 2020 that's filled with so many complexities, and get to the other side with our sanity, with our health, with a little bit of peace, and continuing to be business owners and productive members of society. And so there are two things I'd like to offer to you tonight. The first one is prayer and your faith. Research shows that faith is extremely important for just people to have a positive outlook on life. So regardless of your faith, and I know University of St. Thomas is a faith-based institution, it's important. It's extremely important. Um, and business owners can tell you that prayer and business go hand in hand. Business is a big faith walk. And so you will need prayer as a part of your business strategy. And I'm an advocate for that as a part of your business strategy. You take risks every single day. And so that's the first thing. You need to have faith. And then, secondly, I believe God gave us tools to be able to use to help ourselves, help others, and help our communities. And those tools oftentimes come in the form of skills. There's skills that you have, there are talents that you have, there's giftings that you have. And so we're going to be talking about three key soft skills that you should take time to develop. You should take time to make sure that they stay sharp because they're important now and they're important post COVID. These three things, communication, collaboration, and confidence, really stand the test of time. Sometimes when I'm doing talks or trainings or having coaching sessions, I get asked, well, Ashley, what are soft skills? Why are they so important? If you look at this diagram where you see the lever, you see the A with the arrow going down and the B with the arrow going up, I want you to think of soft skills as those interpersonal skills like communication, collaboration. But they're that bar that's in the middle of this diagram. Your technical skills, the things that you're technically good at, whether it's technology, whether it's IT, coding, or maybe it's a medical skill, you know how to save lives. That's B. A is when there's pressure that's put on there. There's a demand for it. There's a request for it. There's circumstances for it. And so the soft skills that you have are going to be the things that make that technical skill shoot up. It's going to be that thing that causes and allows that technical skill to really excel and really help those that you're called to serve. And so we're going to, again, go over three key tonight. There are gambit of soft skills, but it's good to focus. I'm a big advocate of focusing. So we're going to start there tonight. And before I continue, if there are any questions, comments, ahas, please comment in the chat. This is a dialogue. It's a dialogue. So I would love to hear your thoughts as well. First soft skill, communication. The lady in the black is saying, do you even hear the words that I say? And the lady with the blue dress says, the ones that I like. Oftentimes in relationships and in communication, where we run into issues is when there's miscommunication, right? Or sometimes you just don't want to hear what someone has to say. But regardless of that, it's a part of life, personally and professionally, as a leader, as a business owner, and you just can't get around it. I love to give common definitions for things so that we're all on the same page. And so communication, for simplicity's sake, is nothing more than encoding and decoding messages. We give messages out, whether they're verbally or nonverbal, and then we receive those messages and we interpret those. And that interpretation is what results in an action. that we'll take or a decision that will be made. So, three things you want to do to enhance your communication. Again, these can be applied personally or professionally. One, you want to learn how to listen actively. Active listening is paramount, especially now. In some industries and some businesses that you all have, there's not much room for error. If you're called to save lives, if you are called to give instruction, there's not a lot of room for error. So we want to do our best to make sure that we're listening actively so that we know how to respond appropriately. You want to also make sure that your message is clear and palatable for your audience. The conversation that we're having here tonight, it may not sound the same as if I'm having with another group or another party, or if I'm working with one of my manufacturing clients. There's different verbiage, there's different language, and there are things that resonate with them. And so there's things that you want to make sure is clear and palatable to the audience that you're speaking with. Those of you who are in the medical field, you know that there's certain language. In education, there's certain language. So we just want to make sure that it's clear and it's crisp and it's palatable for your audience. And then finally, tech literacy is a must. Even if you consider yourself to be highly tech savvy, there is something new that's happening and something new that's emerging. And there's a new technology that's coming out. It seems like almost every day. I love the fact that you all are doing an appathon. So that's a perfect way to practice your tech skills and to become more tech literate, because these things matter across social media. They matter across email platforms, our phone communication, and just in life, right? So, active listening, clear, palatable messages, and tech literacy. It is. It definitely is. Next thing is collaboration. Collaboration is nothing more than two parties or more coming together behind a goal that you want to reach, behind a joint effort. Some of the keys to ensuring that you have exceptional and great collaboration is building relationships. Now more than ever, people understand that none of us are islands. And I talk a little bit about this in my book, Focus, Productive Leadership in Action. No man is an island. We're not, or woman, no woman is an island. We were not put here to do life by ourselves, and you just simply can't. And so you want to make sure that the relationships that are key, that are valuable to you and to your community, you want to make sure that you're doing your best to keep those intact, that you're managing those well, and that when the time calls, that the opportunities for you to come together present themselves, and that you shoot your shot, take those opportunities. Second thing we have to do in collaboration is embrace diversity. And first, this is easier for some than others, but there are ways to ease into embracing diversity. And one of those is finding something that you have in common with someone who may not look like you. They may not have the same faith as you. They may not be the same skin color as you, or have the same thought, right? Or political ideology as you. Find a commonality, and build a relationship off of the commonality that you have. And in doing so, you'll begin to embrace the blessing in the differences, because there is a blessing in the commonality, but there's a blessing in the difference as well. And so that's one step to kind of break the ice for embracing diversity, where you may not have been in relationship or in fellowship with people who had the same thought lifestyle as you. And so consider that. And then finally, understand that you don't have to solve a problem by yourself. So if there's something going on, whether it's something very technical or it's something in another area professionally, you don't have to solve that problem by yourself. You simply need to have the courage, though, to ask for help. And for business owners, it could be marketing, it could be facilitating sessions, it could be coordinating things and gathering people, it could be connecting with others. Simply reach out and ask for help. The worst thing you're going to hear is no. And no sometimes lead to not yet. And for every no, there's a yes. So you just keep asking. So those are some ways that you can help build collaboration. If we had more time, I would have loved to break out, but I want to ask you a question. I would love to know, what was your best collaborative experience like? What made it the best? And if you could leave that, you can come off of mute, or if you want to leave it in the chat. What was your best collaborative experience and why? What made it that way?
Actually, if I may, I'd like to share.
Mhm, please.
I think if you just look at our example as a 2-year community college and a 4-year university, uh, the folks that are working together here, our goals are slightly different, but the fact that we have reach into the community, uh, 4-year university has the funding, the curriculum, and so forth. I think that diversity, our goals, the different people that are there, I think that's what is a good collaborative effort. And we built on relationships here. We got to understand each other. We got to empathize with one another and understand each other's goals. And then we decided to, work on one small project and slightly started to grow it. And now we're trying to scale up other projects. So I think it, you know, if it wasn't for Dr. Wilk and the team at St. Thomas, uh, we couldn't, have grown the way we're growing, and then vice versa. That the team that we have at the college and that is promoting some of these activities that we're doing into our communities, we couldn't be as much inclusive. So I like to just point out uh, that as an example.
Right. Thank you so much, Robbie. And thanks for everyone commenting, Irma and Garth and Sheila and Valeria. I'd love to hear from some of the students as well, even if it was a project. What made that experience, if you've had an opportunity to collaborate and work with other people, what made it really good? We'll get to the worst in a little bit. I want to hear what made the things that worked, what made it work well. Okay, someone mentioned in the chat, for Julia said for her, it was when she was training for her credits. I had a technically strong team that was well informed and knew how to communicate, right, with the same wavelength. That's good. Again, communication um, is key. It's key, especially when you're collaborating. So let's shift to maybe the worst collaborative experience that you've had. What happened? Anybody want to share?
If I may go.
Sure.
For me, I guess this happened yesterday, so it's fairly new. So I'm working full time at the same time I'm going to night school and weekend school. And I was highly stressed, but I was keeping my cool. But I had this one client on the line that was like, I can't talk about these documents right now. I have other things to do, even though it was in our best interest to get this out of the way and formalize before like the deadline hit.
Oh, wow. So scrambling.
Yeah, basically scrambling on their end, the unprofessionalism and the hostility, not to mention the fact that at the end, we still did not get anything accomplished, because even though we had this perfect plan, like, hey, I'm going to do my end, you do your end, they did not do in their end. So now I have to figure out workarounds to get their half due.
Right. So you're doing more than what you should have had to do in the first place. So again, a lot of just like gaps in soft skills is what I hear. Just a lot of gaps. And so thank you for sharing that, Julia. Hopefully you'll have a better experience in the future.
Hopefully. Let's aim for that. Let's pray for that.
Yes. Anybody else? We have time for one more before we go on. All right. Sheila did share her best experience of collaboration thus far has been with her corporate integration team. Though you're not a part of an IT team, your feedback was sought and received. Excellent. And each evening I'll tell you a debrief. Excellent. Again, that communication, being receptive to other perspectives, right? And listening to other people. So awesome. I'm glad you had a good experience, Sheila. And so the final soft skill for this evening is confidence. Confidence is nothing more, nothing less than an assurance that you know what you know. It's not haughtiness, right? It's not arrogance, but it's an assurance that what you know, you know. And so, a couple of things you want to make sure that you're confident in now and post COVID are your skills, your skill set. So, I highly encourage everyone to take inventory of your skill set, your technical and your soft skills. And if you need help with that, reach out. But take inventory of that. You can simply do a T chart. Here are my technical skills, and then here are my soft skills that I'm really good at. Secondly, you want to consider how your skills can be utilized in more than one industry. We're in a time, and especially for business owners, I've had to deal with this as a business owner, in my marketing and in who I actually work with, and making sure I stay agile, and making sure I stay flexible as to who I worked with. There were certain industries that I initially started to work with, and I had my eyes on, and then things expanded, and you just have to be flexible. Um, and I'm saying that to say, because we're in a time where things are changing. There are new jobs that are being created. There are businesses that are starting, right? There, frankly, if you've all have ever read the book Who Moved My Cheese, there are some industries, there's cheese is just really in scarcity right now. And then in others, it's there. And so you need to know how to leverage your skill set and your soft skills in other spaces. So if you're a great artist, or maybe you have a business that's around creating or painting, and you were just, you were putting on art shows and commissioning artwork for people, but now, people maybe sales are low, maybe revenues are down. Where else can your skill set be used? Where can your artistry and your ability to collaborate and your ability to communicate through art, where else can that be utilized? Right? Where there's cheese, where there's funding, and where there's a need, and where there's a demand. So those are some of the things you want to consider. And then finally, be confident in your leading and managing of your life. Right? COVID and everything that's happened during 2020 has really brought to surface and brought to our realization that we need to sometimes slow down to speed up. Sometimes some of us need to pick up the pace in certain areas. And so you want to make sure that you have the skill set to be able to lead and manage your life. That includes your time, right? And just because we're in a virtual world, that doesn't mean you should pack everything on your schedule. You still need time for breaks. You definitely still need time for breaks. And so leaders, remember that as you are scheduling things for your team, for your students, schedule and consider that break time, because tech fatigue is real. It's very real. It's very real. And then also your relationships, guys. We're here for each other. And so make sure that you're confident in leading your relationships. We're close to wrapping things up for this portion. And of course, I told you I like to have a little fun. And so we're going to do a quick review using Jeopardy in honor of the